Myron, any sort of surprises here? Like Trey Lance being traded? Maybe not so much. But the Dallas Cowboys of all teams.
Did not expect that. I mean, you thought Minnesota. You heard a lot of buzz about that, him going home. You thought maybe a place that had an established veteran quarterback and an established backup. Remember the new rule, Joe, you can carry 3 quarterbacks into a game now without affecting your roster limit. So there were options for him. But Dallas never considered that. It's only going to create more noise. But if there's any owner in the NFL who's like, listen, I will take that 76 Camaro, without tires and, it needs a new engine, and I'll fix it up and turn it into something great. It's Jerry Jones. So there's a pride thing attached to this as well, I think.
I mean, look, first of all, I don't think there's anything wrong with this from a Dallas Cowboys perspective. Maybe as I think more about it, that will change. But Trey Lance was the number 3 overall pick just a couple years ago. We saw only a handful of games played. I don't think there's anywhere close to enough information out there to make the determination as to whether or not he could be great or be awful. Change of scenery was obviously needed. It wasn't going to work in San Francisco.
How do you bond with someone you have nothing in common with? Answer, fantasy football. How do you reconnect with old friends? Answer, fantasy football. How do you spice up small talk? How do you overcome awkward situations? How do you prove to your peers that you're a smart, capable, devastatingly good-looking force to be reckoned with, and nothing they can do or say will ever change that? Answer, ESPN Fantasy Football. Play the #1 fantasy game. Sign up at ESPN.com/fantasy football. Insights provided by IBM Watson.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Gentlemen, we want it all. We want to discover new music and listen to the same 3 songs. We want to live off the land and eat spray cheese from a can. We want to get away from it all and be a comfortable walking distance from fast casual chain restaurants. Sadly, we can't have it all. Unless we're at Sport Clips Haircuts, where we check in with the pros in men's hair and totally check out with sports watching, shampoo, massaging, relaxation. Sport Clips, it's a game changer.
You've waited all year, and the time has finally arrived. College football is back, and so are the traditions, the tailgates, and the great offers from DraftKings Sportsbook. But your vehicle shouldn't be one of them. Jiffy Lube knows that a well-maintained vehicle means peace of mind, and with expert car care at over 2,000 locations nationwide, a visit to Jiffy Lube will leave you and your car feeling good. Keeping your car and your mind road ready, that's a job for Jiffy. Go to jiffylube.com to find a location near you.
On SiriusXM NFL Radio Channel 88, or listen anytime on the SXM app, free for most subscribers.
There you go now.
I think every.
Oh, I see. You gotta get.
Are you looking for sports talk centered around the latest odds and prop bets for college and pro football? Look no further than Sports Grid Radio on SiriusXM. Their winning team of experts, led by Scott Farrell, are analyzing the lines and odds for every game and updating the latest player props and team win totals.
Their quarterback situation is an absolute mess. With a win total of 9.5, I'm hammering the under.
Become a better with Sports Grid Radio, SiriusXM Channel 159, and on the SXM app.
Radio legend Conan O'Brien here. I've often been told that I have a face for radio. Well, guess what? SiriusXM thought so too. Tune in to Team Coco Radio, Channel 106. Everything that you kind of liked about what I did on television, on radio. Conan O'Brien, Team Coco Radio.
To hear Team Coco Radio, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visiting SiriusXM.com/go. Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM. We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer. SiriusXM Video lets you watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artist you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
Waldo Deportes, bonjour, very, very vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe with 28 podcast applications. And you can Google it. I want to say, what a beautiful day in the neighborhood. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Want to be my neighbor. Shut up! I was trying to bring the neighborhood together, but 3 o'clock in the morning doesn't work. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers. Home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, this Cadillac in the world. And you can buy and test drive yours. Tell them to sit you with a good Lord split you. As well as driving a fleet of Cadillac cars all over the universe. On a beautiful August 25th, the 2023 breaking news, the 49ers have decided to trade Lance to the Dallas Cowboys. How about those Cowboys? I don't know if that makes sense. They got him traded within the same division. They just beat Dallas last year in the NFC playoffs, and Dallas didn't have a lot of scoring, but the 49ers didn't score a lot either. So why would you give a quarterback that you drafted #1 just a few years ago to a rival that you may face again in the playoffs? What does Jerry Jones know that others don't know? I think Trey Lance has a lot of that Colin Kaepernick in him. I know he was hated here in the Bay Area. The Bay Area media, they hate a mobile quarterback, a.k.a. Steve Young, a.k.a. Colin Kaepernick, that got them to playoffs and also Super Bowls. They don't want that kind of guy. They want a guy that can sit in the pocket and not be able to run away from the pass rush. But that's their story, and they're sticking with it. They got a 4th-round pick for the trade of Trey Lance, but they gave up a lot of picks when they brought Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. I don't think they were very fair with Trey Lance and the 49ers regime. They have Sam Darnold out of USC that has no mobility whatsoever, and they have him ahead of Trey Lance. Based on what I saw with my own 2 eyes, Trey Lance is a better quarterback, but they don't want the run pass option quarterback in the Bay Area. Be that as it may, congratulations, Dallas Cowboys. People say, hold on, how about those Cowboys? Does it mean that Dak Prescott has to look over his shoulders? No, not at all. But I think what the Dallas Cowboys have in Dak Prescott is a run-pass option quarterback, and they see that bringing in Trey Lance is going to give the chance to develop that same type of run-pass option quarterback coming off the bench. Dak Prescott, his job is secure in Dallas, but he can have some great learning experience if you're Trey Lance learning under the great Dak Prescott. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. But if this doesn't work out fine for the 49ers, people would complain and say Shanahan wasted a lot of draft picks to give up for Trey Lance, and then gave up Trey Lance. It's a what have you done for me lately league in the NFL. That's just the way it is. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. You can follow Big C Sports Podcast on 28 podcast applications all over the universe. You can find us on Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, Good Pods Podcast. I'm telling you, Amazon Podcast just brought on Amazon this week, actually this month, and then Castbox Podcast, the Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, Pod Chaser. You ever chase somebody like the 49ers were chasing down an opposition to get rid of a quarterback that I thought would have been really good had they worked with him, but they decided other options. You can find Big C Sports Podcast on Gio Saban out of London, England, as well as India and Africa, Podgel, YouTube, Help Out Podcast, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes Podcast Wise, Podmade, Verbal Podcast, Podcast Prodigy, Podcast Republic. The only one that used to scare me, but now it doesn't. But then sometime it does again. It's allfeeds.ai. The robots are taking over. Give the robots some praise. But I have a clue on how you can turn them off. And this is one of my favorite entertainers in the history of the universe. The great Teddy Pendergrass. He knows how to turn off robots. He was saying, turn off the lights, ding, and light a candle. Dun, 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 dun. You see, there's something I want to do to you, baby. Turn them off. And the robot would turn off. Teddy could turn it off. I mean, rumor has it more babies were made when that song, Turn Up the Lights, was number one in the universe, more than any other song ever, because men, when they was time, and sometimes ladies, hold on, man, let me reverse. We live in the land of equal opportunity. Sometimes a woman says to the man, turn off the lights and light a candle, and if he doesn't turn off the lights, he says, turn them off. Okay, maybe I don't have a woman's voice. I was trying to channel Michael Jackson. The great Lena Horne, all fair and never were. Turn them off! But you don't want to turn off Big City Sports. I'm telling you, I can tell you what I love about the show is I also have, you can find Big City Sports Podcast streaming OTT on 4 TV platforms all over the universe. Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you're going to get that some praise. Really do appreciate that. One beautiful and intelligent night, man. It is Happy Friday, and I love bringing you the things that are going on in the world of sports. I want to say I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our life. I know I can use more laughter. I'm telling you, there's a lot of things to laugh about. What a great day this Happy Friday is. Really do appreciate that. And then at the same time, I'm telling you, the commercials are done. My show is different, unlike any other show in the universe. I do all of my commercials before the show. It's called pre-roll. Most 1-hour shows, sports shows, TV broadcasts, they do a show for an hour, but they'll have 4 spots within that hour show where they'll run 3 or 4 commercials. I don't do mine that way. I just keep going and going and going and going. And then I do the show. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And then I'm telling you, the stats are provided, and then the storytelling, facts tell, and stories sell. I even do the play-by-play up to the line of scrimmage. Trey Lance, I said formation, has 3 wideouts, a 5-man front by the Niners. The snap rolling to his right, rolling. Lance throws downfield, and it's caught for the touchdown. Touchdown, Cowboys! How about them Cowboys? Yeah, we know that Lance is going to land on his feet, if that makes sense to you. Really do appreciate that young man. Showed a lot of class. If you look at what the 49ers have done, Jimmy Garoppolo's out. Trey Lance is out. And now they got to figure out Sam Darnold's the backup. But they're gonna figure out what to do. I think the 49ers are gonna be fine. They always have been, because their defense is legit. And we will see what happens with them. But if you get a quarterback injured, you know, Purdy got injured last year. Brock's a good quarterback, but he got injured last year. And how will he come back from that arm? So if Brock Purdy got injured last year and he gets hit on the arm again, you're gonna start Sam Darnold as your backup quarterback for the 49ers. I don't like that deal, but that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And then the shows are uploaded to 27 multiple podcasts, actually 28 multiple podcast platforms all over the universe, out of New York City, and I'm in Dimdare Hills, California. And then I never missed a show since working with the crew of Big City Sports back at Salem Media back in the day. Really do appreciate that. I want to give that some praise. I say give it praise, praise, praise. Something else I want to do. I want to do something that's important. I love paying homage to the Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced, helping veterans and their loved ones get help. If you know anybody going through issues, pick up the phone and call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give them some praise, because we all need somebody to lean on, and they do help a lot of people. I'm so excited about things going on in life right now. I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1 verses 3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then he also said, let there be light, and then light appeared. And now we can watch the games almost anywhere we go. We can watch the games. A lot of great things going on in the world of sports. NFL football, preseason. Yes, it is preseason. Got a few more games that are about to wrap up for the NFL. We have Friday night's game, Detroit at Carolina, kickoff already at 5 o'clock p.m. New England at Tennessee, kickoff at 8:15 p.m. East Coast time. And then the LA Chargers out here in Dim Dare Hills, California, taking on the San Francisco 49ers without Trey Lance down at beautiful Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. And then Saturday is a beautiful day coming up on Saturday on the West Coast. Got Arizona at Minnesota, 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff. Buffalo at Chicago, 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff. Cleveland, this is for you. At the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs at 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff. The Seattle Seahawks got a good team this year. They're at the Green Bay Packers without the great touchdown Aaron Rodgers. 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff. The New York Jets at the New York City Giants. 6 o'clock p.m. kickoff. Cincinnati at Washington, 6:05 p.m. kickoff. Baltimore at Tampa Bay, 7 p.m. kickoff. Miami at Jacksonville. They're getting buck wild in Jacksonville, 7 o'clock p.m. kickoff. And the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Dallas Cowboys. And maybe Trey Lance, 8 o'clock p.m. kickoff, because I don't think Dak Prescott's going to play preseason. And the LA Rams at Denver up in the Mile High City, 9 o'clock p.m. kickoff. Sunday's game has Houston at New Orleans. You could give that some praise. Give it praise. It's all fair in love and war. I really love the fact that NFL football season's kicking off, and everybody has their own flavor about what to do and who they're going to pull for. But my thoughts, just going back to the reaction with the 49ers getting rid of Trey Lance, and there was so much, I want to say, vitriol for Trey Lance in the Bay Area. I thought the man played great. When you look at the opportunities he had a broken foot last year, but he came back. They want to stick with Sam Darnold, who's not as athletic, can't throw the ball as deep, doesn't make any sense to me. But the 49ers, I'm telling you, they can't seem to avoid any type of quarterback controversy. Jimmy Garoppolo's out. He's with the Raiders. Trey Lance is out. He's with the Cowboys. And now San Francisco's been the talk of the NFL universe this week, and for reasons beyond any action on the field. Coach Kyle Shanahan, he confirmed that Sam Darnold won the backup job over Trey Lance on Wednesday. The last time I saw them play, I have no idea why they say that Sam Darnold has a better opportunity to help the 49ers win than Trey Lance. Doesn't make any sense, but it caused an uproar. It doesn't make any sense. Everybody has their own opinion, and Shanahan's going to do his thing. But the process for the 49ers over the last 3 years regarding Trey Lance, the number one pick, has been the most ridiculous, unprofessional, disorganized I've seen in pro sports. I know people give Shanahan a lot of credit, and they gave him the checkbook to go out and do what he wants to do. But why do you take the number one pick and you trade him to Dallas after 3 years instead of developing that kid? He has all the potential, and they just haven't stuck with him. They started him last year, and he broke his foot. So how did he beat out Jimmy Garoppolo last year and not beat out Sam Darnold this year? And Jimmy Garoppolo's taken the 49ers to the NFC Championship game 3 times, took them to 1 Super Bowl, and Trey Lance beat him out. What has Sam Darnold done? I know they want to go with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's locked up the starting job. But how is Trey Lance not more valuable than Sam Darnold? It doesn't make any sense. The 49ers gave up 3 first-round picks and a 3rd rounder to the Miami Dolphins to move up to the number 3 spot in 2021 NFL Draft. And now they trade Trey Lance to the Cowboys for a 4th round pick. Jerry Jones, we know he's a multi-billionaire, but now I feel like the 49ers get hosed. How do you give up a guy that's a run-pass option like Colin Kaepernick and like Steve Young that played in this organization for a guy as Sam Darnold that cannot run out of the pocket and threw as many interceptions as touchdowns? I don't understand that. I think it's a costly trade for the 49ers because Purdy's already showed you he played 8 games last year and he got hurt. You're going to bring in Sam Darnold that even Carolina didn't want. And Carolina has the 1st round overall pick Bryce Young out of Alabama that played at Santa Ana Mater Dei, and they chose him over Sam Darnold. A kid coming out of college was chosen over Sam Darnold. And then Sam Darnold was chosen over the number 1 pick in 2021. Last first season, as the official starter, was wiped away following a season-ending ankle injury in week 2 of the 2022 season. And I'm telling you, and then Jimmy Garoppolo came in, and then he got hurt, and then Brock Purdy took over and succeeded him. But if you think about, no matter what people said about Jimmy Garoppolo, and no matter what people said about Trey Lance, those two guys are out. How Jimmy Garoppolo out and Trey Lance is out when those players have been in the championship game 2 out of 3 years? They were on the roster, and they're gone. I still think the 49ers have a great defense, but Shanahan, if they don't win now, maybe they got to start looking at Shanahan, because he's had one of the top defenses in the league the last 3 years, but he's gotten rid of 2 quarterbacks. Jimmy G took them to a Super Bowl. They lost to Kansas City. Then he took them to the NFC Championship game where they lost to the LA Rams. And then last year he was hurt. Trey Lance was hurt. And Brock Purdy came in and he got hurt. And they went to the NFC Championship game again. So the 49ers have been to the NFC Championship game 3 of the last 4 years. It's their defense that has done it for them. D'Amico Ryans is he's down in Houston, Texas. So what's going to happen with the 49ers? I don't know, but I don't like the fact that they got rid of an athletic quarterback for a guy they call Mr. Irrelevant, who also got injured last year. And we don't know if he's going to be as dynamic this year as he was last year. Defensive coordinators tend to get a read on you. But it's a huge miss for the 49ers considering, remember before the 2021 draft, there was a lot of speculation about who was exactly the Kyle Shanahan protege, moving up from 12 to get to number 3. And they got a guy, and Trey Lance they let go today to go to Dallas. I don't understand why you let him go number 1, but number 2, why to Dallas? Dallas is one of your biggest nemesis. Why not let him go to an AFC team? There was a lot of speculation about what to do with Trey Lance. But why do you not want a quarterback that has a run-pass option for you? I think that's a bad decision for the Niners. Because now, if Brock Purdy goes down, you're going to bring in Sam Darnold, who's a sitting target. He can't run out of the pocket. He throws nearly as many interceptions as he does touchdowns. You had a guy in Trey Lance that can at least stretch the field. We saw that. But that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I wish them all nothing but the best, but it just doesn't make any sense. They've been given the keys to a Rolls Royce, and they treat it like a Ford. I mean, nothing wrong with Ford. Don't get mad at me for it. But I don't understand it. That's just the way it is. But it's the biggest news out here in Dimdale Hills, California. And now, for people that say they didn't want Trey Lance, well, there. What are you going to do now? Now you got a guy that can't move out of the pocket. You can't expect Brock Purdy to stay healthy all season. He couldn't even make it through a whole year. So now they moved on, and that's what happens in life. People do what they want to do. NFL news roundup and some league updates from around the NFL as we get ready for more preseason games coming up on Saturday. But that's a shocking move. Not that they traded Trey Lance because they were trying to get rid of all mobile quarterbacks in the 49ers organization. I don't understand why. But to send them to the Dallas Cowboys? How about those Cowboys? Jerry Jones seemed to be a smart man. If he's such a bad quarterback, why did Jerry Jones bring him in to back up Dak Prescott? Oh, Jerry Jones! Well, Jerry Jones has had a talented team down in Dallas. But you bring in a quarterback that gives you run-pass option if Dak goes down. That's just, I don't know. It is what it is. That's the way love goes, the great Janet Jackson told us. I got some more news around the NFL for some signings. The Arizona Cardinals, they signed offensive line Cole Cobra And Baltimore Ravens, they have some roster cuts. The wide receiver Shamar Bridges waived with an injury settlement per the NFL transaction wire. The Buffalo Bills roster cuts linebacker Shane Ray released from injured reserve with an injury settlement per the NFL transaction wire. The Carolina Panthers wide receiver Damian Byrd released from injured reserve with injury settlement per the NFL transaction wire. The Chicago Bears roster cuts wide receiver Joe Reed. He's waived with an injury designation. Also injuries wide receiver Dante Pettis placed on injured reserve. How about Cincinnati, the Bengals? They have a roster cut, and Terrell Basham, the Houston Texans, down in Texas, they sign a punter Ty Zismer, and then roster cuts offensive tackle Jack Chin and cornerback Darius Phillips. Down in Miami, how about those Miami Dolphins? They signed defensive tackle Jamal Woods. They also have injuries to defensive back Miles Dorn, reverted to injury reserve from being waived and injured per the NFL transaction wire. How about the Minnesota Vikings signing cornerback Jamison Houston? Roster cuts, also offensive tackle Chim Okafor. New Orleans Saints, how about those Saints down in New Orleans? They have an injury. Cornerback Marshawn Lattimore remains out with a knee injury per head coach, the great Dennis Allen. And then preseason quarterback touchdown Derek Carr will not play in Sunday's preseason final versus the Texans. And then Allen announced that Jameis Winston will get the start for the Good Boys down in New Orleans, as they say, Nolans. The New York Jets, Jets, roster cuts. They have a safety, Dane Cruikshank. He was cut. How about the Pittsburgh Steelers? Mike Tomlin has never missed a playoff game, going into year 16 as a head coach for the Steelers. Roster cuts, wide receiver Cody White. He was waived from injured reserve with injury settlement per the NFL transaction wire. Tight end Hakeem Butler waived from injured reserve with injury settlement per the wire. We come out here to dim their heels. Injuries for the San Francisco 49ers kicker Jake Moody is considered day-to-day after straining his right quad. Will not play tonight versus the LA Chargers per David Lombardi of The Athletic. Zane Gonzalez will handle place kicking duties in the preseason final. Give all those good boys some praise. Everybody's up in arms about what happened with Trey Lance, because now, for whatever reason, they didn't want the run pass option in San Francisco. I don't know why not. He reminded me so much of Colin Kaepernick that just needed some more seasoning. But you can't tell me that he's not at least a second option for the Niners, but that's in the past. And now he's backing up the great touchdown at Dak Prescott. Would you believe the Dallas Cowboys have two black quarterbacks on their roster? Have things changed down in Texas? They've never had a black head coach, but they've had a black quarterback in Texas, if that makes sense to you. And speaking of Texas, Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott not playing in the preseason allows him to focus. And today, with the news that Trey Lance was brought onto the team from the 49ers, that has to give him, I mean, it's not looking over his shoulder. Not at all. But I think he's so focused on becoming a great quarterback. He even said he'll throw fewer than 10 interceptions this year. I really like Dak Prescott. He's a great player. But they bring in someone that he can groom also. Not that you're trying to groom a guy that they bring in to maybe replace you down the road, but Dak has another 5 or 6 years left with the star on his helmet, if that makes sense to you. But how about those Cowboys? They have 16 days before their 2023 season kickoff against the New York Giants, with Saturday's preseason final against the Las Vegas Raiders, wrapping up in the offseason work. Now, quarterback touchdown Dak Prescott, he's also been much maligned by the national media, and I don't know why. All he does is win, win, win no matter what. But he said Thursday that not participating in preseason has helped him get a jump start on focusing on the season opener. And now when you think about Dak Prescott, he has an understanding of the offense, and he wasn't playing in the preseason a week ago. It allowed him to move forward and watch some of their past games in the history with that team and going up against the New York Giants. You got to prepare in this game. Preparation makes everything happen. When I look at what happened, Dak Prescott hasn't played in a preseason contest since 2019. 2019. We've seen several veteran starting quarterbacks, including touchdown Patrick Mahomes, quarterback Josh Allen, quarterback Derek Carr, quarterback Geno Smith, and quarterback Tua Tagovailoa take preseason reps. Even touchdown Aaron Rodgers is expected to see some action this weekend. Other clubs that have sat their starters it's all about the team and player preference when it comes to preseason action. And some coaches like Mike Tomlin believe that players need sparring to prepare for the campaign of a long season. And you got to feel great about where you are, Prescott said. And it's much different than last year. And you think that all off-season, spring, and in training camp, they're in a much better place right now than they were at this time last year. So there's no pressure on touchdown Dak Prescott with Trey Lance coming in to back him up down in Texas, of all places. We will see what happens with those good boys down in Dallas. I want to give Dallas some praise. I really think Jerry Jones got the best of the 49ers this time. Going back to 49ers and Cowboy trades, Charles Haley played for the 49ers, and he had a problem knowing where to inculcate. So he inculcated on Coach George Seifert car. That's what I heard. And they sent him down to Texas, and Dallas won the Super Bowl with him. Also, primetime Deion Sanders, he played for the San Francisco 49ers, also played for the Dallas Cowboys, and it seemed like the Cowboys got the better of those trades when those things happen. So we will see what happens. I still don't understand why the Niners let go a run-pass option quarterback to keep Sam Darnold, who is not a run-pass option quarterback. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I want to also get in Mike Tomlin for the Steelers saying they need preseason. They need some sparring because it's difficult if you don't have your players ready for week one. And I know everybody has their own thoughts about it, but you got to let guys play. You can't just take the whole year off, even though it's a year-round business now. You can't just put them in week one without any preparation. They got to get some reps. And people say, well, they get reps in practice. You can't hit them in practice. You can hit them in a game. But we'll see how it works out. So the 2023 NFL preseason week 3, and what we learned from Thursday's doubleheader, I'm telling you, we don't need Thursday night football. That's my opinion, but I know I'm not going to get anywhere with that because it makes a lot of money. Pittsburgh Steelers 24, the Atlanta Falcons 0 down in the great state of Georgia. The Indianapolis Colts 27, the Philadelphia Eagles 13. And what a beatdown it was. Mike Tomlin playing starters in the preseason. He said it's difficult to get them ready without sparring. And that's what happened. You had Pickett and Pittsburgh's offense headed into the regular season. Kenny Pickett had a decent game, and Atlanta just did not show up. But again, it's preseason. Pickett was he had 4 of 4 for 86 yards, included 2 on the money 30-plus yard throws. But again, Atlanta wasn't really playing. It's like their head was not in the game. The Atlanta Falcons third stringers battled final wide receiver slots with 53-man roster cut downs coming up on Tuesday. And Thursday marked the final game and the chance for many people on the bubble to get a chance to earn the starting roster spot. I don't know what's up with that. I mean, if you look at the Atlanta Falcons, beautiful stadium. Arthur Blank put a lot of money into the stadium, but they just haven't been what you expect them to be. Once they lost their Super Bowl to New England, they were up, I think, 28-3 at halftime, and they ended up losing that game. They haven't been the same as an organization. But I know that's in the past, and we can't worry about the past. Indianapolis coach Richardson shows poise and confidence in the preseason final. Came out of, I'm telling you, out of 40, he's going to be a good player in the NFL. Jonathan Taylor's absence hangs over the coach, and one of the best running backs in the NFL football loomed large over the Colts as their preseason ended, and the standoff between Taylor and Indianapolis continues. Taylor has requested a trade and has been granted permission to seek one. Will he get out of the Indianapolis? I don't know. Not a big demand for running backs lately for some reason, but they're trying to give all the money to the quarterbacks. But what I like is number 4 overall pick, Anthony Richardson out of Florida. He reminds me of Trey Lance for the 49ers. He's a run-pass option. While the 49ers traded Trey Lance, Indianapolis Colts, they're starting Anthony Richardson as the future of the franchise. Would almost certainly be cast in the role as the team's leading rusher while finding his way as an NFL passer. He's a run-pass option. I think he's an amazing player. They're going to work with him, not keep saying they don't want him. I really think they're going to have a good season up here in Indianapolis this year because they have a quarterback that reminds me of Colin Kaepernick, Steve Young, a run-pass option. I'm saying Trey Lance, even if you put him up against Tua Tagovailoa, I like Trey Lance more than Tua Tagovailoa. People say, oh, come on, Curry, you done lost your mind. No, I haven't lost my mind. Tua's always hurt with concussion. He's always in concussion protocol. I don't think Trey Lance has ever been in concussion protocol. But, that's what it is. That's what the teams do. Shanahan's made his choice. But Richardson looks just like Trey Lance in Indianapolis. And they're going to work with him. And I think they're going to have a good season because of it. That's my story, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm still kind of punch drunk over the trade of Trey Lance to an NFC team. Not only an NFC team, but the Dallas Cowboys, they're always right there in the heels of the San Francisco 49ers. Why they did that, I have no idea. But that's their story, and they stuck with it. So give them some praise for doing something that makes no sense. Trade your quarterback, who was a former number 1 draft pick, to a team in your division. That makes no sense to me. But they did it. And now, what are they going to do if he goes down to Dallas and he helps the Dallas Cowboys have more options when it comes to playing in the playoffs? More options when it comes to playing in the playoffs against the team that traded him in the 49ers. Why couldn't they have traded him to an AFC team? When the Las Vegas Raiders got rid of Derek Carr, they sent him to the NFC. When the New England Patriots got rid of Tom Brady from the AFC, they sent him to the NFC with Tampa. When the Green Bay Packers got rid of Aaron Rodgers, they sent him to the AFC with the New York Jets. But Shanahan's considered a guru, and he decided to send him to one of their biggest rivals, the Dallas Cowboys. I'm sure Jerry Jones is drinking some of that top shelf tonight, if that makes sense to you. But whatever happens, they made the choice, and they're going to stick with it. I want to touch a little bit on some college football. We got some big games coming up over the week. I know, in my mind, I've said that USC will win, at least play for a national championship this year. And they got a big game at the Coliseum in Los Angeles that kicks off on Saturday against San Jose State, where they're 6-0 versus San Jose State, and I think they moved to 7-0. Caleb Williams, obviously, he's a front runner for the Heisman Trophy again this year. Not since Archie Griffin back at the Ohio State Buckeyes went back-to-back as Heisman Trophy winner. No college football player has won back-to-back Heisman Trophies. Caleb Williams might be the first one since the great Archie Griffin, if that makes sense to you, running for the great Woody Hayes back in the day. But we will see what happens if they can make that happen with Caleb Williams. But be that as it may, I want to take some time to give you my thoughts on Big C's thoughts of the SEC. You got the Georgia Bulldogs. They start at the top, but there are a lot of contenders in the SEC. The Bulldogs have become the unquestioned top dog in the football bowl subdivision. Now, Georgia's trying to make history with the first modern three-peat, and the Bulldogs have won. They've gone 29-1 during their 2-year reign as national champions, avenging the loss in the process to the Alabama Crimson Tide. The offense should be solid, and their defense always has more and more players that are just stepping in and filling in the role. But I'm telling you, the offensive line is solid. We know that. Standout tight end Brock Bowers and top wideout Lad McConkey, they are back and will be joined by transfers Dominic Lovett and Rara Thomas arriving from Missouri and Mississippi State. Carson Beck won the competition to succeed quarterback Stetson Bennett. And while the defense should be solid again, I don't see them repeating. I'm going to give you some thoughts also on the team that I think will challenge for the SEC this year, and that's Alabama. Don't look for new offensive coordinator Tommy Rees to turn back the clock on the run-heavy schemes. This team, the Crimson Tide, that big elephant for Nick Saban's, his first handful of national titles, but the Tide will lean more on the run with a gifted backfield and a change at quarterback with no final decision yet on who will replace the great Bryce Young, who's now the first-round pick with the Carolina Panthers. But this year's group has a lot more questions coming in. Speaker Jalen Monroe, also highly recruited prospect Ty Simpson, and Notre Dame transfer Try Buckler will also have opportunities to win the quarterback job. There's something great about Alabama brewing. They don't have the pressure on them to win the way Georgia has won the last 2 years, but they will win the West, and I still have Georgia as the East Division champion, but I think Alabama knocks them off. That makes sense to you. I got to look at LSU in the SEC West. Year one under Brian Kelly, he said, we're family down in the South. He left Notre Dame for LSU. Down in Baton Rouge, they delivered an upset at Alabama and the SEC West Division title and a Citrus Bowl victory. Incumbent quarterback Jaden Daniels, who left Arizona State, was extremely productive despite being forced to run for his life often. He should have better protection from the season offensive line. Look for LSU to have a good season this year. Also, I want to look at the SEC East. There's a program by the name of Tennessee. There are a few concerns about the offense, and former backup quarterback Joe Milton poised to take over and play at an all-conference level to take the next step. The Volunteers will need to land immediately on their feet. 2 BYU transfers set to play in big roles and are going to help the Tennessee Volunteers roll with that moonshine that they have down in the great state of Tennessee. The Volunteers are 15-2 when they're eclipsing the mark of rushing for 155 yards. They got to run the rock, and I think they will. Another great team down in the South is, I don't want to really jump the gun on this, no pun intended, but the Texas A&M Aggies. Nobody seats among high-profile quarters is hotter than the great Jimbo Fisher, but the guy got $75 million contract, and they've not won an SEC championship. Even LSU has won another one since they signed Jimbo Fisher to that big, lucrative $75 million contract over 7 years. That's a lot of money to not win. If things don't turn around, then you got to look at more of a hot seat down in Texas. Quarterback Connor Wigman and new offensive coordinator Bobby Petrino. For all of his faults, Petrino is one heck of an offensive technician, and the biggest concern are centered on the personalities. Can Fisher and Petrino coexist? We will find out. I want to swing you back over to Kentucky, where the moonshine flows. The offense will be improved noticeably with the return of offensive coordinator Liam Cohen, who helped Kentucky go 10-3 in 2021 before spending last season in the NFL, and the arrival of North Carolina State transfer quarterback Delvin Leary. In the Wildcats, they averaged 32.3 points per game in 2021. I know everybody has their own thoughts about who the best players are and who the best teams are in college football. I like the SEC this year. I don't like them winning the national championship again, but I think Alabama will be the team that carries the mantle this year for the SEC. They're just that loaded. I know they got to find a new quarterback. They always seem to find that, especially under Nick Saban. You can't expect them not to be at the top of the food chain, and I want to give Nick Saban some praise because he's done it. The winningest coach lately in the last 10 years in college football. And he knows what he's doing. Everybody knows that if you go down to the SEC, you got to face Nick Saban. And Nick Saban knows how to rebuild. So let's talk about Georgia repeating. Not going to happen. It's almost hard. It's hard to do that. Very difficult. I want to take a turn to talk about one more college football program from the SEC, and I want to put some thoughts. I want to put some respect on Arkansas, the Razorbacks. Think about this: back-to-back 9 wins will require more of the same from a pass rush that delivered a school record 42 sacks last year. 42. At the same time, the defense finished last in the SEC in yards allowed per game and gave up 6.8 yards per play against 5-power competition. The good news is KJ Jefferson, he returns at quarterback, giving the Razorbacks one of the top dual threats in the country. So that's my thought on that. I want to give the SEC some praise. I know everybody has their own favorite Kool-Aid. I talked about the Pac-12 yesterday, but now I got to go up north, where a lot of Pac-12 teams are gone. The Big Ten Conference. I want to tell you my thoughts on the Big Ten. Ohio State and Michigan, they have been, since the days of Bo Schembechler and Woody Hayes, must-see TV. But the power in the Big Ten Conference has shifted in the last 2 seasons, with Michigan supplanting Ohio State as the top football team. This comes after the Buckeyes had ruled the conference for the previous 4 seasons, and then Penn State for 1 season before that, giving the East Division 7 consecutive wins in the conference championship game. But this is what I want to look at in these 2 programs. I know some people pick Michigan over Ohio State this year. I'm not one of them. It's easy to forget that the Buckeyes could have been or should have topped Georgia in a 42-41 college football playoff semifinal last year, but they missed the kick. They missed the field goal. They would have won the game in the final seconds. This year's team will have to stand up to Michigan's toughness, but it's built to win the title. And scoring short, I'm telling you, this team is going to score a lot of points. It should not be an issue, even with the new signal caller, likely Kyle McCord or Devin Brown taking over for C.J. Stroud, and Marvin Harrison Jr. will lead an elite receiving unit that also features tight end Case Stover. And I'm telling you, JT, Chewy, I'm telling you, these guys look good. I really like what Ohio State has done over the years. And now they feel like they have to chase a little bit. Because Michigan, even though Michigan won the last two encounters, they were considered upsets, and it's hard to beat a team 3 years in a row. I want to look at the Michigan Wolverines. I know Jim Harbaugh under a little bit of fire for some shenanigans, but when he says, who's got it better than us? Nobody! That's what his dad used to tell him back in the day. But I look at Michigan, and the Wolverines are a good team. How they didn't beat TCU last year, I don't know. But Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines, they believe that the 2023 team will win the whole thing. The pieces are in place, especially the offensive side. Explosive running back Blake Crum and Donovan Edwards return and will again be working behind an outstanding group of linebackers. Quarterback J.J. McCarthy also returns. There will be new starters along the offensive line and defensive line and in the secondary. But veteran junior, I'm telling you, Junior College Carson and Michael Barnett will be joined by Nebraska transfer Ernest Hausman to form one of the nation's top linebacking crews. But it's always about who has the big game against Ohio State and Michigan. Ohio State was favored the last two games, but Michigan said, not so fast, my friend. And they were able to win the game, and they foiled the crime, if that makes sense to you. I want to look at another team on the outside looking in, not too far on the outside. Last year's Rose Bowl champion, the Penn State Nittany Lions. No, they're not the teams of Joe Paterno back in the day playing for national championships, but the Nittany Lions took care of every one of their schedules and not named Michigan or Ohio State in 2022. And they have that challenge. The key is, can the offense stay on the field with a prospect in Drew Allar? His primary targets are talented but unproven at the Power 5 level. But they'll have help in the form of Nicholas Singleton leading the deep running back core and a veteran line featuring Ola Funau at left tackle and the defense, which is the best in the Big Ten in several categories. They must replace some key parts, but edge rusher Abdul Carter is back to lead what should be a formidable pass rush. They took care of Utah, the Pac-12 champions last year, in the Rose Bowl, and can they get it done this year? And that's my opinion. They're going to be contending. I still don't think they beat Michigan or Ohio State in the Big Ten East Division. I want to look at the Big Ten West Division. Iowa, always a team that gets a lot of praise. The offense could, in fact, get worse. Iowa could average, say, 1 touchdown a game instead of a normal 2. But then the Hawkeyes could be better. There's almost no doubt. Look for a Michigan transfer quarterback, Cade McNamara, to help build up an underachieving group. Iowa's always known for defense, but they still look like they might be the top fight in the West. But not so fast, my friend, says the Wisconsin Badgers. What would win, a Badger or a Hawkeye? Well, Wisconsin will be home to one of this college football season's most intriguing mixes. New head coach Luke Fickell is trying to blend the Badgers' normal physicality with an offensive scheme containing the air raid principles. Offensive coordinator Phil Longo is maybe the most impactful new assistant coach in the conference. So I have those two teams in the East that I have Penn State challenging Michigan and Ohio State. But in the West Division, I have Iowa, Wisconsin, and that's my story, and I'm going to stick with it. I know everybody has their own thoughts about what's going on in the world of sports, and there's a lot of things going on. I love doing Big C's Friday Night Lights, high school football. I want to bring up, and you give that some praise for college. I want to pay homage to the high school football, in my opinion, in the week rankings. High school football season is off to a fast start with 27 week 1 matchups between teams inside the high school football top 300. Southern California, national champion last year, modern day of Santa Ana and St. John Bosco. They won the last 3 national championships, and they're right there again. So St. John Bosco remains number 1 and number 2 respectively with modern day and Santa Ana and St. John Bosco Bellflower in the Trinity League. And then Georgia has Buford which makes a big move inside the top 10 after shutting out previously number 3 St. Francis Academy in Baltimore, Maryland, 18-0, and that was on Friday. They did that last year, and I want to give them some praise for doing that as well. I got a little blitz in the giddy up, as Teddy Pendergrass said, turn him off. But we're back in the action, if that makes sense to you. I want to finish off talking about some of the top high school football programs that are playing for Big C's Friday Night Lights. I love doing it, since every young player in the country, they have a dream of playing college football and also NFL football, but it starts with high school's Friday Night Lights. I'm telling you, St. Francis Academy out of Baltimore, Maryland, they fall to number 7 this week as they lost last week, and the Panthers will try to get on the win column again next Saturday when they travel to South Florida to face number 14 Chaminade Madonna in a nationally televised game on ESPN. The game is part of the 7-game Broward County National Football Showcase. Now, the game that I like is defending national champion St. John Bosco of Bellflower, California. They head, in last year's national champion, they head to Florida to face number 6 St. Thomas Aquinas on ESPN2. And the Braves have won 16 straight against out-of-state opponents since losing to St. Thomas Aquinas in 2017, also after coming off of a national championship in California where they had beaten De La Salle High School of Concord, California. Meanwhile, St. Thomas Aquinas, the Raiders, are going after a 5th straight Florida 7A state championship this year, and that should be a game to watch down in Florida. Bishop Gorman of Las Vegas, they move up a notch to number 3 this week. The Gales open with a come-from-behind win over number 70 Corona Canyon of Utah. It was the first of 5 straight games against nationally ranked opponents for Gorman this year down in Las Vegas. This year, Bishop Gorman plays number 74 ranked Long Beach Poly, the Jackrabbits out of Southern California. Number 5, IMG Academy out of Florida. They picked up a quality win with a 35-10 win over number 23 Lipscomb Academy out of Tennessee, the 2-time defending Division II AA champion. This week, the Ascenders will play number 10 St. Joseph Prep from Pennsylvania, the state's defending 6A champion. Beaufort isn't the only Georgia team making a move in the top 25 this week. Colquitt County, Georgia, is up 5 notches to number 13 after an impressive win over previously number 11 Dutch Fork of South Carolina's defending 5A champion on the high school football scene. Then the defending Georgia 6A champion Langston Hughes, which also moves to number 25, from number 25 to number 17 Friday night, and Hughes came from behind to beat the 2022 7A runner-up Carrollton, Texas, 39-35 in a game that was televised on ESPN. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I wish all the high school players the greatest of success. We know they all deserve it. High school is where everything starts, and these young players, they put it all on the line to try to find a way to go into the next level of life, usually, and that's in the world of college sports, and then if they're lucky enough to land a chance to play professional football. I want to also give the high school kids some plays. What do they say? We got spirit. Yes, we do. We got spirit. How about you? Well, I hope that all the high school kids can have great sportsmanship as well, if that makes sense to you. I want to turn to the world of track and field. The World Athletics Championships 2023, Sherika Jackson, she clocked the second fastest time in history to retain the women's 200-meter title. The Jamaican athlete was in a class of her own as she won in 21.41 seconds, and that is fast. She got it in front of American pair Gabby Thomas and Sha'Carri Richardson, who was doing her thing as well. Now, Sherika Jackson, she retained her women's 200-meter title in style at the 2023 World Athletics Championships in Budapest, Hungary on Friday, August 25th. And the Jamaican was already ahead at the bend in East Clear as the field entered the home straight, clocking 21.41 to break her own championship record from 12 months ago. That was the second fastest time in history behind only the great late Florence Griffith Joyner, who ran 21.34. And that was from the Seoul 1988 Olympic Games. Gabby Thomas of the United States, she chased her home in second place with a 21.81. These women are running such incredible times. Really do appreciate how athletic and talented they are. And that was Monday with hero Sha'Carri Richardson, who ran a 21.92, taking home the bronze. Now, that to me is impressive. because for Sha'Carri to win the gold medal in the 100 and then come back with the U.S. team to win the bronze, that's impressive. Jackson, who took silver behind Richardson in the short sprint, with a pure relaxation as she was introduced last, it made her interest to the track. She even had her stroll back from the bend and the starting blocks, making her the rivals wait on the track for introductions. The 29-year-old had a good start from lane 6 and was quickly up on the shoulder of St. Lucia's Julian Alford. She also power passed Thomas and Richardson outside of her on the bend, and the crowd was almost spellbound as they watched the most emphatic of title defenses. What a great race it was. I really do appreciate watching these young ladies run and actually dominate in the world of track and field. Even more so than men. Because speaking after the post-race press conference, Jackson, she revealed that she was not mulling over missing out on the 100 gold to Richardson. Sha'Carri is an amazing athlete. She said it feels good to be back-to-back champion in the 200 and after the 100. The coach, think about this. She said she spoke and said that the 100 is already gone. It's time to focus on the 200. She wasn't looking in the past. She was looking forward. And she said the 200 is her baby. She just wanted to come out here and execute in her own race. And I think she did a pretty good job of that tonight. At the same time, women don't make the same kind of money that men do. But you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone that turns the needle in track and field than Sha'Carri Richardson. She's the first American woman since Carmelita Jeter in 2011 to win medals in both individual sprints events at the World Championships. And then she said she's grateful to actually be there. Her first World Championships, and to leave there with not one but 2 medals, she reflected that she really loved what she does. And she saw someone say that she's the first American woman since 2011 to leave here with medals in the 100 and the 200. I want to give that some praise. I love track and field. I love what the athletes are doing, and I want to always champion that in the world of sports. Now, just so you know, I know we love sports, but I want to praise the California Reparations Task Force. I do it every show. There's a lot to get forward to, so it's hard to get everything in. But I want to tell you, reparations now, reparations forever. It's coming. We got to get that praise. I want to give praise to California Reparations Task Force. The chair, Attorney Camila Moore, brilliant. She's an attorney that works on reparative justice. Give her some praise. Really love doing that. Also, Dr. Amos C. Brown, Vice Chair, brilliant. I love giving them praise. The best senator in the United States of America. California Senator Stephen Bradford, brilliant. Council member Monica Montgomery Stepping, brilliant. Assembly member Reginald Jones Sawyer, brilliant. I want to give some praise to Dr. Shell Grills, brilliant. Attorney Lisa Holder, brilliant. Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California Berkeley, brilliant. And Donald K. Kamaki of the California Reparations Task Force. Give them all some praise, because we got to get reparations now, and we got to get reparations forever. As I always say on my programs, I love paying homage to my beautiful family legacy. My beautiful mother's side, my grandmother, called her Mamo, and my grandfather, actually great-grandmother Mamo, my great-grandfather Pop, just beautiful people. My grandmother Madia, a seer, could look at people and tell you a lot about their past, present, and future. Really do appreciate her. And then my grandfather Hezekiah, another wonderful person, a seer. Really do appreciate him. And then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program and a food program, and also coached an all-boys Little League baseball team with the championship of the universe. Love giving my mama praise. On my father's side, my great-granddaddy called him Albert Curry, a former pastor, had 2 churches in Oakland, built the 3rd one in Central California. He also owned 2 gas stations, and he owned 40 acres of land. Really do appreciate him. And then my beautiful grandmother, Alberta Curry, touched me on my forehead when I was 8 years old. She said, "There's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak." And now I'm on 28 podcast applications. Really do appreciate her. Then my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that planes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful brother Todd with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning. With Todd we speak, always saying go forward. My beautiful daughter Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. I'm telling you, 2 degrees with honors in 3.5 years. Also helped set up the very first interview for Big C Sports. You can be anything. Always trust God. Isaiah 54:17. That no weapon formed against you will pass. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. A college student, a senior. You can be anything you want to be. Just trust God. Isaiah 54:17. No weapon formed against you will prosper. Malcolm helped set up the very first interview for Big C Sports. He also said, Big C, he said, Dad, you want to see your show on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV and say, play Big C Sports. You see your show come up. That's before it was even on the air. Shortly after that, it's on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. And I really do appreciate your son. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then Big C with all that work and knowledge over the years, just like my granddaddy came out of that barn. So you gotta believe, you gotta believe, you gotta believe. Let's get ready to rumble. You know the story. I'm so hyped today. What a great weekend coming up. A lot of great things happening. Well, as I always tell you, especially you high schoolers, if you're gonna, you shouldn't be drinking at all. It's for everybody, but especially high school kids. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and drive. Mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You could call Uber, you could call Lyft, you could call a cab, you could walk it off, you could sleep it off. The life you save might be your own. Don't let people you love drink and drive. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali would say, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat because all the Big C burgers make me light on my feet. That's why I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as I always tell you on every Big C Sports show, things change when the police show up. Call 911 if anybody's going through any type of abuse. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you on every Big C Sports show, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super, fantastic day. As I now take the time to honor President Abraham Lincoln. Reparations now, reparations forever. Let's do it 2 more times as if your team's going to win the game. What did Abraham Lincoln say? Listen up, Congress. Reparations now, reparations forever. Let's say it 1 more time as if Congress wants to do something about honoring the late great President Abraham Lincoln. He said reparations now, reparations forever. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super, fantastic day.